Yeah, he wrote me on Instagram. I put up on him. I had a chop on me. I put up on him. I hopped out the Sprinter van. He like, hey, put that up. You don't need that around here. But, man, I fuck a Sag. I think he about the second one that ever just let me pull up on him. You know, a lot of rappers scared.
And a lot of niggas fuck with dirt. So a lot of niggas ain't gonna fuck with Youngboy shit because they fuck with dirt.
If you got a problem with him and I with both of y'all, but I with him a little harder, I'm naturally gonna be like, man, just naturally me. So before I be fake and be in the middle, I'd rather squash it like, bro, just squash it with him so I don't gotta say fuck him too, type shit. Cause I got to say, there's no way I can be cool with both of y'all like and just play the middle. I'm not no middle.
So how does it work?
21 Savage and NBA Youngboy went from pulling up to each other's hoods without weapons to one of rap's most bitter feuds. We're talking about a friendship so tight that Youngboy literally tattooed 4L on his neck for 21 Savage. But on November 6th, 2020, everything changed forever. What you're about to discover is how one tragic night in Atlanta didn't just end King Von's life. It's a brotherhood that seemed unbreakable. From late night studio sessions to public disrespect on podcasts, from clubhouse confrontations to choosing sides in a war that nobody could win. Stay with me until the end of this video, gang, because by the time we're done, you'll understand exactly how loyalty, the very foundation of hip-hop culture, became the weapon that destroyed one of the game's most genuine friendships. This is the complete story, and trust me, it's deeper than you think. To understand how this beef really started, we gotta go back to 2016 to 2017, when both NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage were hungry young artists grinding their way to the top. These weren't industry plants or label darlings. These were street cats who turned pain into platinum. Kentrell Deshaun Galden, better known as NBA Youngboy, was already making waves from Baton Rouge. By 2017, this kid was dropping mixtapes like they were going out of style. AI Youngboy dropped in August 2017 and immediately showed the world that Louisiana had a new king. The numbers don't lie. This project hit number 24 on the Billboard 200, and Youngboy was still technically an independent artist. But here's what made Youngboy special. His authenticity was undeniable. When he rapped about struggle, about loss, about the streets, you felt every word. Tracks like Outside Today weren't just songs, they were confessions. The kid was pouring his soul onto these beats, and the streets were listening. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, Shea bin Abraham Joseph, which is a goofy-ass name, was building his own empire as 21 Savage. The Savage Mode mixtape with Metro Boomin in 2016 had already put him on the map, but 2017 was his breakthrough year. Issa album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, and suddenly 21 wasn't just another Atlanta rapper, he was a force. What made 21 different was his delivery. That monotone, almost emotionless flow wasn't an act, it was survival. When you've seen what 21 had seen, when you've lived through what he lived through, sometimes the only way to tell your story is with that cold, calculated precision. Now here's where it gets interesting. Both artists were representing something real in hip-hop culture. This wasn't the flashy, Instagram-friendly rap that was dominating the charts. This was street rap with substance. Both Youngboy and 21 were talking about real pain, real struggle, real consequences. In hip-hop culture, authenticity is everything. You can't fake where you come from, and you can't manufacture the kind of pain that creates great art. Both of these artists had that authenticity in spades, and that's what initially drew them together. The exact details of how NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage first connected aren't completely public, but what we do know is that by late 2017, early 2018, these two were building a genuine friendship. This wasn't just industry networking, this was real brotherhood. According to multiple sources and social media posts from that time, they were introduced through mutual connections in the Atlanta music scene. Atlanta has always been a hub for Southern rap, and Youngboy was frequently in the city working on music. 21, being one of Atlanta's rising stars, was naturally part of that ecosystem. What really cemented their friendship was time spent in the studio together. Multiple industry insiders have confirmed that Youngboy and 21 would spend hours together, not just making music, but building a genuine connection. They were both young, both hungry, and both dealing with the pressures of sudden fame while trying to stay true to their roots. The respect was mutual and immediate. 21 Savage saw in Youngboy a kindred spirit. someone who understood the weight of representing the streets while navigating the music industry. Youngboy saw in 21 someone who had successfully made that transition without compromising his authenticity. Now, this is where the story gets really deep. Sometime in 2018, NBA Youngboy made a decision that shocked even his closest friends. He got 4L tattooed on his neck. For those who don't know, 4L stands for For Life, and it's directly connected to 21 Savage's brand and movement. Let me break down why this was such a big deal. In hip-hop culture, getting someone else's brand or symbol tattooed on your body is the ultimate sign of respect and loyalty. This isn't like wearing someone's merchandise or shouting them out in a song. This is permanent. This is saying, I'm willing to carry your name on my body for the rest of my life. When Youngboy got that 4L tattoo, he was making a statement to the entire hip-hop community. 21 Savage wasn't just a friend or a collaborator, he was family. In street culture, that kind of loyalty is sacred. It's the foundation that everything else is built on, but the tattoo was just the beginning. What really showed the depth of their friendship was how comfortable they became in each other's territories. We're talking about two artists from completely different cities, Baton Rouge and Atlanta, who were willing to pull up to each other's neighborhoods without security, without weapons, without fear. In one of the YouTube videos from our research, NBA Youngboy himself talks about this. Yeah, that's big, bro. Yeah, he wrote me on Instagram. I pulled up on him. I had a chop on me. I pulled up on him. I hopped out the Sprinter van. He like, hey, put that up. You don't need that around here. You know, but I mess with Savage. I think he about the second one that ever just let me pull up on him. You know, a lot of people scared. This quote is incredibly revealing. Youngboy is essentially saying that 21 Savage was one of the only people who made him feel safe enough to put his weapon away. In street culture, that's the highest level of trust you can have. When someone tells you, you don't need that around here, they're taking responsibility for your safety. They're saying, I got you. Another story that perfectly illustrates their bond comes from Youngboy himself, talking about a pool party they threw together. In his own words, I was in Atlanta, me and Savage. Well, Savage decided, let's throw a pool party. I'm like, bet, so it happened. Me and him went shopping, you feel me? We was racing and stuff. I wanted to race, but we was racing. So by the time we got to the pool party, it was light, but then everybody got to popping up. Thug pulled up. Others pulled up. Meek pulled up. This story shows us something important. They weren't just friends in the studio or for business purposes. They were hanging out, having fun, living life together. They were shopping together, racing cars, throwing parties. This was genuine friendship, the kind that transcends the music industry. What made the Youngboy 21 Savage friendship so special was how it represented something pure in hip-hop culture. In an industry full of fake relationships and manufactured beef, here were two authentic artists who had found genuine brotherhood. Their friendship also represented a bridge between different regions of the South. Youngboy was carrying the torch for Louisiana rap, while 21 was representing Atlanta's new generation. Their bond showed that Southern hip-hop was united, that artists could support each other across state lines. 21 Savage respected Youngboy's raw emotional delivery and his ability to connect with fans on a deep level. Youngboy admired 21's consistency and his business acumen. This mutual artistic respect was crucial to their friendship. They weren't just hanging out because it was convenient or beneficial. They genuinely appreciated each other's craft. In hip-hop, that kind of artistic respect is rare and valuable. But even during the height of their friendship, there were signs that loyalty could become a problem. 21 Savage has always been known for his unwavering loyalty to his friends. In interviews, he's talked about how he'd rather lose money than betray someone he cares about. In one of our research videos, someone describes 21's loyalty this way. 21 Savage's kryptonite is loyalty, bro. It's the best and worst thing because I swear to God, bro, when he with you, that guy with you, to the point where he won't mess with you. He with you so much he'll hang with you. He'll turn $1 million down because he messes with you, right? And then he just turned $1 million down. He'll watch you make 3 million doing the same stuff he just turned down 1 million doing. He'll never talk to you again because people do whole stuff because he like, man, if I'm rocking with you, I'm rocking with you. People ain't built like this guy, bro. I watch it happen 1 million times. A lot of people he don't talk to this day because he stood on some stuff and people didn't do the same stuff. He really believed he got a belief in that, like he's not budging on that stuff. If he messes with you, he feel like certain stuff now, like I can't do it. This description of 21's loyalty would prove to be prophetic. His unwavering commitment to the people he cares about would eventually force him to make a choice that would end his friendship with Youngboy forever. While NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage were building their brotherhood, another relationship was forming that would eventually tear them apart. 21 Savage was also developing a close friendship with Lil Durk, the leader of OTF, Only the Family, from Chicago. The connection between 21 and Durk made sense on multiple levels. Both were street-certified artists who had successfully transitioned to mainstream success without losing their authenticity. Both understood the weight of representing their cities and the responsibility that came with their platforms. Durk, being older and more established in the industry, became something of a mentor figure to 21. He showed him how to navigate the business side of hip-hop while maintaining street credibility. This relationship was built on mutual respect and shared experiences. As 21 Savage's relationship with Lil Durk deepened, he naturally became closer to the entire OTF family. This included King Von, who was Durk's protege and one of Chicago's most promising young rappers. Von was charismatic, talented, and fiercely loyal to OTF. The OTF movement represented something powerful in hip-hop, a family structure that transcended just making music. They were brothers who looked out for each other, supported each other's careers, and stood together against any threats. For 21 Savage, who had always valued loyalty above everything else, this kind of family structure was appealing. For a while, 21 Savage was successfully maintaining friendships with both NBA Youngboy and the OTF crew. There was no immediate conflict because these relationships existed in different spaces. Youngboy was his southern connection, his peer who understood the struggle of young artists making it out of difficult circumstances. OTF was his Chicago family, his mentors and brothers in the industry. But in hip-hop, especially in street-oriented hip-hop, maintaining multiple loyalties can be dangerous. The culture demands authenticity, and authenticity often requires choosing sides when conflicts arise. What many people didn't realize at the time was that NBA Youngboy and the OTF crew were already operating in different spheres that occasionally created tension. Youngboy was known for his independence and his reluctance to get too deeply involved in industry politics. He preferred to focus on his music and his own circle. OTF, on the other hand, was deeply embedded in the industry's power structures. They understood the importance of alliances, of building relationships with other successful artists and labels. They played the game at a higher level, which sometimes required making strategic decisions about friendships and partnerships. Another crucial element that would later become important was NBA Youngboy's close relationship with Quando Rondo. Quando, also from the South, was one of Youngboy's closest friends and collaborators. Their friendship was similar to what Youngboy had with 21 Savage. Genuine, loyal, and built on mutual respect. However, Quando Rondo had his own history and his own conflicts that would eventually intersect with the larger hip-hop landscape. His presence in Youngboy's circle would later become a significant factor in the events that tore apart the Youngboy 21 Savage friendship. As 21 Savage's relationships with both camps deepened, he found himself in an increasingly difficult position. His loyalty to NBA Youngboy was genuine and long-standing. The 4L tattoo on Youngboy's neck was a constant reminder of their bond, but his connection to OTF was also real and meaningful. In hip-hop culture, this kind of divided loyalty is often unsustainable. The streets don't recognize neutrality when conflicts arise. You're either with someone or against them, and trying to stay in the middle often means losing both sides. The music industry, particularly in hip-hop, often forces artists to make choices about their associations. Record labels, booking agents, and other industry professionals pay attention to who artists are connected with. These relationships can affect everything from collaboration opportunities to touring possibilities. As both NBA Youngboy and OTF continued to grow in prominence, the pressure on 21 Savage to choose a side was increasing, even if it wasn't explicitly stated. Industry insiders were watching to see where his loyalties truly lay. By late 2019 and early 2020, 21 Savage was at the height of his career. His album I Am I Was had debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200. He was collaborating with major artists and establishing himself as one of hip-hop's premier talents. But beneath the surface, the tensions were building. The hip-hop community was becoming increasingly polarized, with different camps forming around various conflicts and beefs. The stage was being set for a confrontation that would force everyone to choose sides. NBA Youngboy was also reaching new heights of success, but his independent approach and his loyalty to his own circle were putting him at odds with some of the industry's power players. The collision course was set, and all it would take was one tragic event to bring everything crashing down. November 6, 2020. A date that will forever be etched in hip-hop history as the night that changed everything. It was the night King Von was killed outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, and it was the night that the friendship between NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage died along with him. To understand why this event was so devastating to their relationship, we need to break down exactly what happened and why it forced 21 Savage to make an impossible choice. The details of what happened that night are still disputed, but here's what we know for certain. King Von, Lil Durk's protege and one of OTF's brightest stars, was in Atlanta. He was there with his crew, including some members of OTF, when they encountered Quando Rondo and his crew outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge. What started as a confrontation quickly escalated into violence. Shots were fired, and when the smoke cleared, King Von was fatally wounded. He was rushed to the hospital but died from his injuries. The hip-hop community was shocked, and the streets were demanding answers. Here's where the story gets complicated and why it directly impacted NBA Youngboy's relationship with 21 Savage. Quando Rondo, who was present during the altercation, was one of NBA Youngboy's closest friends and frequent collaborators. In the aftermath of King Von's death, many people in the OTF camp and their supporters began pointing fingers at Quando Rondo and, by extension, NBA Youngboy. The logic was simple but devastating. If you're close to someone involved in a conflict, you're part of that conflict. In street culture, loyalty is everything, and neutrality is often seen as betrayal. NBA Youngboy's friendship with Quando Rondo made him a target for blame and anger from the OTF camp. This is where 21 Savage found himself in an impossible position. On one side, he had his genuine friendship with NBA Youngboy, symbolized by that 4L tattoo on Youngboy's neck. On the other side, he had his brotherhood with Lil Durk and the OTF family, who were grieving the loss of King Von and looking for support from their allies. In one of our research videos, 21 Savage himself explains his philosophy on loyalty. If you got a problem with him, and I mess with both of y'all, but I mess with him a little harder, I'm naturally going to be like, man, just naturally me. So before I be fake and be in the middle, I rather squash it like, bro, just squash it with him so I don't gotta say mess them too. There's no way I can be cool with both y'all, and just play the middle. This quote perfectly captures 21's dilemma. He couldn't stay neutral because that's not who he is. His loyalty is absolute, and when forced to choose, he chose the side he felt more connected to at that moment. Several factors influenced 21 Savage's decision to side with OTF over NBA Youngboy. First, his relationship with Lil Durk had become increasingly important to his career and personal life. Durk was not just a friend, but a mentor and business partner. Second, the nature of the conflict made neutrality impossible. King Von's death wasn't just a tragic accident. It was seen by many as part of an ongoing conflict between different camps in hip-hop. By maintaining his friendship with Youngboy, 21 would have been seen as disrespecting Von's memory and abandoning his OTF family in their time of grief. Third, and perhaps most importantly, 21 Savage's own moral code demanded that he choose a side. As he explained in interviews, he'd rather be honest about his loyalties than try to play both sides and be fake. The decision to side with OTF meant that 21 Savage had to cut ties with NBA Youngboy completely. This wasn't a gradual cooling of their friendship. It was an immediate and total severance. The 4L tattoo on Youngboy's neck, once a symbol of unbreakable brotherhood, became a painful reminder of loyalty betrayed. For NBA Youngboy, 21's decision was devastating. He had trusted 21 enough to permanently mark his body with his symbol, and now that same person was choosing his enemies over their friendship. The betrayal cut deep because it was so unexpected and so complete. The fallout from 21 Savage's decision rippled throughout the hip-hop community. Fans were divided. Some praised 21 for staying loyal to OTF during their time of grief, while others criticized him for abandoning a genuine friendship for industry politics. The incident also highlighted the dangerous nature of loyalty in hip-hop culture. While loyalty is celebrated as one of the culture's highest virtues, it can also force people into impossible situations where there are no good choices. To fully understand why this situation was so devastating, you have to understand the street code that governs much of hip-hop culture. In the streets, loyalty isn't just preferred, it's required for survival. When someone you're loyal to is hurt or killed, you're expected to stand with them regardless of the personal cost. 21 Savage, despite his success in the music industry, never forgot where he came from. The street code that shaped his youth continued to guide his decisions as an adult. When King Von was killed, that code demanded that he choose a side, and he chose the side of his fallen brother's family. November 6, 2020 marked the point of no return for the friendship between NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage. What had been one of hip-hop's most genuine friendships became one of its most bitter feuds in a single night. The tragedy of King Von's death had claimed more than one victim. It had also killed the brotherhood between two of the South's biggest stars. In the immediate aftermath of November 6, 2020, the first sign of the broken relationship between NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage wasn't dramatic social media posts or diss tracks, it was silence. The complete and total absence of any interaction between two people who had been inseparable just days before. For fans who had been following their friendship, this silence was deafening. No more social media interactions, no more studio sessions, no more public appearances together. The 4L tattoo on Youngboy's neck became a constant reminder of what was lost, a permanent mark of a friendship that no longer existed. The hip-hop industry is small, and when two major artists suddenly stop associating with each other, people notice. Industry insiders, other artists, and fans began speculating about what had happened. The timing, coming so soon after King Von's death, made the connection obvious to those paying attention. Record labels, booking agents, and other industry professionals had to adjust their strategies. Collaborations that might have been planned were scrapped. Events that might have featured both artists had to choose sides. The ripple effects of their broken friendship spread throughout the entire industry. While neither artist immediately addressed their falling out directly, careful listeners began to notice subliminal references in their music. Hip-hop has a long tradition of artists communicating through coded language and indirect references, and both Youngboy and 21 began using this method to express their feelings about the situation. NBA Youngboy, known for his emotional and direct approach to music, began including lines that seemed to reference betrayal and fake friends. While he never mentioned 21 Savage by name, fans who knew about their friendship could read between the lines. 21 Savage, with his more calculated approach, was even more subtle. His references were buried deeper in his lyrics, but they were there for those who knew how to look for them. Social media became a battlefield where both artists played a careful game of chess. They would post content that seemed innocent on the surface but carried deeper meaning for those who understood the context. A photo, a caption, or even the timing of a post could be interpreted as a message to the other side. This kind of social media warfare is common in hip-hop feuds, but it was particularly painful in this case because these two had once been so close. Fans who had followed their friendship were now forced to analyze every post for hidden meanings and subliminal dices. As news of their falling out spread, fans were forced to choose sides. NBA Youngboy's fan base, known for their fierce loyalty, and began criticizing 21 Savage for his betrayal. 21 Savage's fans defended his decision, arguing that he had to stay loyal to OTF during their time of grief. This fan divide created additional pressure on both artists. Every move they made was scrutinized by both their supporters and their critics. The personal conflict between two friends had become a public spectacle, with millions of people taking sides. Behind the scenes, the music industry's business realities were making the situation even more complicated. Both artists had business relationships and partnerships that were affected by their feud. Collaborations were canceled, joint ventures were scrapped, and both sides had to navigate the complex web of industry politics. Record labels, in particular, had to be careful about how they handled the situation. They couldn't be seen as taking sides too obviously, but they also had to protect their investments. The business side of hip-hop was forcing everyone to make calculated decisions about relationships and loyalties. As the feud deepened, fans began to realize what the hip-hop community had lost. The potential collaborations between NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage would never happen. The joint tours, the shared projects, the continued friendship, all of it was gone. This sense of loss was particularly acute because their friendship had been so genuine. Unlike many industry relationships that are built on mutual benefit, theirs had been based on real connection and shared experiences. The waste of that potential was heartbreaking for fans who had witnessed their bond. As months passed, the silence between the two artists began to give way to more direct confrontation. While they still weren't naming each other directly, the subliminal shots were becoming less subtle. The temperature was rising, and it was becoming clear that this wasn't going to be resolved quietly. The hip-hop community was watching and waiting for the situation to explode into open warfare. The tension was building, and everyone knew that it was only a matter of time before someone crossed the line from subliminal to direct. The first major escalation in the public phase of their feud came when 21 Savage began appearing on podcasts and interviews where he would make indirect but clear references to his former friend. This was a significant step because it moved their conflict from the realm of subliminal lyrics and social media posts into direct public discourse. In our research, we found multiple instances where 21 Savage would discuss loyalty, friendship, and betrayal in ways that were clearly directed at NBA Youngboy, even if he didn't mention him by name. These podcast appearances served multiple purposes. They allowed 21 to control the narrative, they demonstrated his loyalty to OTF, and they sent a clear message to Youngboy that their friendship was truly over. One of the most revealing moments came when 21 discussed his philosophy on friendship and loyalty. As we heard in our research, a lot of people not gonna mess with NBA Youngboy because they mess with Lil Durk. This wasn't just an observation, it was 21 explaining his own position and justifying his choice. But the most dramatic moment in their public feud came during a Clubhouse session that has become legendary in hip-hop circles. For those unfamiliar, Clubhouse was a social audio app that became extremely popular during the pandemic, allowing people to join live audio conversations with multiple participants. According to our research, NBA Youngboy joined a Clubhouse room where 21 Savage was already present and began trolling him. The exact details of what was said are disputed, but witnesses described it as Youngboy directly confronting 21 about their broken friendship and the choices he had made. This Clubhouse incident was significant because it was the first time the two had directly interacted since their falling out. It wasn't through intermediaries, subliminal lyrics, or social media posts. It was a direct, real-time confrontation that played out in front of a live audience. The incident quickly went viral, with clips and descriptions spreading across social media. Fans on both sides claimed victory for their artist, but what was clear to everyone was that any hope of reconciliation was now completely dead. Following the Clubhouse incident, 21 Savage became even more active on the podcast circuit, appearing on shows where he would discuss the situation in increasingly direct terms. This media strategy served several purposes. First, it allowed him to control the narrative around their feud. By speaking first and speaking often, 21 could frame the story in terms that were favorable to his position. Second, it demonstrated his confidence in his decision. By publicly discussing the situation, he was showing that he had no regrets about choosing OTF over his friendship with Youngboy. Third, it sent a message to the broader hip-hop community about where his loyalties lay. Other artists, industry professionals, and fans could see clearly which side he had chosen. While 21 Savage was taking his case to the podcasts, both artists were also engaging in the hip-hop tradition of subliminal dissing through their music. This is an art form in itself, the ability to insult someone without naming them directly, leaving just enough ambiguity to maintain plausible deniability while making your meaning clear to those who understand the context. NBA Youngboy, with his more emotional and direct style, would include lines about betrayal, fake friends, and people who switch up when things get difficult. His fans knew exactly who he was talking about, even if he never said 21's name. 21 Savage, with his more calculated approach, was even more subtle. His disses were buried deeper in his lyrics, often requiring multiple listens and careful analysis to fully understand, but they were there and they were pointed. Social media became another battlefield in their ongoing feud. Both artists would post content that seemed innocent on the surface, but carried deeper meaning for those who understood the context of their relationship. A photo of 21 Savage with OTF members wasn't just a casual social media post. It was a statement of loyalty. A cryptic caption from NBA Youngboy about trust and betrayal wasn't just random thoughts. It was a direct message to his former friend. This kind of social media warfare is exhausting for everyone involved, including the fans who feel compelled to analyze every post for hidden meanings. But it's also an integral part of modern hip-hop feuds, where artists use every available platform to communicate their feelings and maintain their positions. The hip-hop community's response to the feud was mixed and complicated. Some artists and industry figures tried to stay neutral, recognizing that taking sides could affect their own relationships and business opportunities. Others were forced to choose sides based on their existing relationships. Artists who were close to OTF naturally supported 21 Savage's position, while those in NBA Youngboy's circle backed him. The situation also highlighted the broader divisions within hip-hop culture. The feud wasn't just about two individuals. It represented larger conflicts between different regions, different approaches to the music business, and different philosophies about loyalty and friendship. As the public phase of their feud continued, it became clear that this wasn't going to be resolved quickly or easily. Both artists had invested too much in their positions to back down, and the public nature of their conflict made it even harder to find a face-saving resolution. The hip-hop community was watching a friendship that had once been genuine and beautiful turn into something ugly and destructive. The 4L tattoo on NBA Youngboy's neck, once a symbol of brotherhood, had become a permanent reminder of betrayal and lost loyalty. To truly understand the NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud, we need to examine the cultural forces that made their conflict inevitable. At the heart of this story is a fundamental paradox in hip-hop culture. Loyalty, which is supposed to be the foundation of all relationships, can also be the force that destroys them. Hip-hop culture places an enormous emphasis on loyalty. It's not just preferred, it's required. Artists are expected to remain loyal to their friends, their neighborhoods, their crews, and their principles, regardless of the personal cost. This loyalty is seen as a measure of authenticity and character. But what happens when loyalties conflict? What happens when being loyal to one person requires betraying another? This is the impossible situation that 21 Savage found himself in, and it's a situation that many artists in hip-hop face. Another crucial factor in understanding this feud is the tension between street code and industry politics. Both NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage came from the streets, where loyalty is literally a matter of life and death. In that environment, choosing sides isn't just about personal preference, it's about survival. But the music industry operates by different rules. In the industry, relationships are often strategic. Partnerships are based on mutual benefit, and conflicts can be resolved through negotiation and compromise. The problem arises when street-oriented artists try to navigate industry politics while maintaining their street credibility. 21 Savage's decision to side with OTF made perfect sense from a street perspective. He was staying loyal to his family during their time of grief, but from an industry perspective, it meant sacrificing a valuable relationship and potential business opportunities. The NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud also illustrates how social media has changed the nature of hip-hop conflicts. In the past, feuds played out primarily through music, with artists releasing diss tracks and letting their art speak for them. Today, every social media post, every interview, every public appearance becomes part of the conflict. Fans analyze Instagram captions for hidden meanings, dissect podcast appearances for subliminal disses, and turn every interaction into evidence for their side of the argument. This constant scrutiny makes it much harder for artists to resolve their conflicts privately. Once a feud becomes public on social media, it takes on a life of its own, with fans and media outlets keeping it alive, even when the artists themselves might be ready to move on. While the emotional and cultural aspects of their feud are important, we can't ignore the economic realities. Hip-hop is a business, and conflicts between major artists have real financial consequences. For NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage, their feud meant the end of potential collaborations that could have been worth millions of dollars. Joint tours, shared projects, and cross-promotional opportunities all disappeared when their friendship ended. The feud also affected their relationships with other artists, labels, and industry professionals. People were forced to choose sides, which limited opportunities for both artists in different ways. The conflict between NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage also reflects a broader generational divide in hip-hop culture. Older artists and industry figures often advocate for resolving conflicts privately and maintaining professional relationships even when personal relationships are strained. Younger artists, particularly those who came up in the social media age, are more likely to air their grievances publicly and use their platforms to wage war against their enemies. This generational difference in approach can make conflicts more intense and harder to resolve. Interestingly, this feud also represents a conflict within Southern hip-hop, rather than between different regions. Both NBA Youngboy, Louisiana, and 21 Savage, Atlanta, represent the South. But their conflict shows that regional unity isn't always enough to overcome personal and political differences. The South has traditionally been more unified than other regions in hip-hop, with artists supporting each other across state lines. The Youngboy 21 Savage feud represents a crack in that unity, showing how personal conflicts can override regional loyalty. Modern hip-hop feuds are also shaped by fan culture in ways that weren't true in the past. Fans on social media don't just observe conflicts, they actively participate in them, choosing sides, spreading information, and keeping feuds alive through their engagement. The NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud has been sustained in part by their respective fan bases, who continue to argue about the conflict on social media, analyze every new development, and pressure their favorite artists to continue the fight. This fan involvement can make it harder for artists to resolve their conflicts because backing down or making peace can be seen as weakness by their supporters. One of the most tragic aspects of the NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud is that it appears to be completely genuine. Unlike some hip-hop conflicts that are manufactured for publicity or commercial gain, this feud stems from real friendship, real betrayal, and real hurt. The authenticity of their conflict makes it more compelling to fans, but it also makes it more destructive to the artists involved. When a feud is real, the emotional cost is much higher, and the possibility of resolution is much lower. As we near the end of this story, it's important to examine what both NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage lost when their friendship ended. The personal cost of their feud extends far beyond missed business opportunities or damaged reputations. It represents the loss of something genuinely valuable in both of their lives. For NBA Youngboy, the betrayal cut particularly deep because of how much trust he had placed in 21 Savage. The 4L tattoo on his neck serves as a permanent reminder of that trust and its violation. In hip-hop culture, where authenticity and loyalty are paramount, having someone you trusted enough to permanently mark your body with their symbol turn against you is devastating. 21 Savage, despite making what he believed was the right choice, also lost something valuable. He lost a genuine friendship with someone who had shown him real loyalty and respect. He lost the potential for future collaborations and shared experiences. Most importantly, he lost a piece of his own authenticity, the part of him that could maintain multiple loyalties without compromising his principles. The NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud has had ripple effects throughout the hip-hop industry that continue to this day. Their conflict forced other artists to choose sides, affected business relationships, and changed the dynamics of Southern hip-hop. Record labels became more cautious about signing artists who might have conflicts with their existing roster. Booking agents had to consider the political implications of putting certain artists on the same bills. The entire industry had to adjust to the reality that two of the South's biggest stars could no longer be in the same space. The feud also influenced how other artists approach their own relationships and conflicts. Some have used it as a cautionary tale about the dangers of divided loyalty, while others have seen it as an example of the importance of choosing sides when conflicts arise. Beyond its immediate impact on the artists involved, the NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud represents something larger about hip-hop culture and American society in general. It's a story about loyalty and betrayal, about the difficulty of maintaining relationships in a competitive environment, and about the personal cost of success. Their story also highlights the ongoing tension between authenticity and commercial success in hip-hop. Both artists were trying to remain true to their principles while navigating the complex world of the music industry, and their conflict shows how difficult that balance can be. There are several important lessons that can be drawn from the NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud, While loyalty is a virtue, absolute loyalty can become a trap. When you're unwilling to compromise or find middle ground, you may be forced into situations where there are no good choices. Many conflicts could be avoided or resolved through honest communication. If 21 Savage and NBA Youngboy had been able to have an honest conversation about their conflicting loyalties, they might have found a way to preserve their friendship. Once a conflict becomes public, it becomes much harder to resolve. The pressure from fans, media, and industry figures can make it impossible for artists to back down or find compromise. The most tragic aspect of their feud is that it destroyed something that was genuinely valuable. In an industry full of fake relationships and manufactured connections, their friendship was real, which makes its loss even more significant. As of today, there appears to be no resolution in sight for the NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud. Both artists have moved on with their careers and their lives, but the underlying conflict remains unresolved. NBA Youngboy continues to be one of hip-hop's most successful independent artists with a fiercely loyal fan base and impressive streaming numbers. He has largely avoided discussing the 21 Savage situation in recent interviews, focusing instead on his music and his family. 21 Savage has also continued to thrive with successful albums, high-profile collaborations, and a growing business empire. His loyalty to OTF remains strong, and he has shown no signs of regret about his decision to choose them over his friendship with Youngboy. While their feud seems intractable now, hip-hop history is full of conflicts that seemed permanent until they weren't. Artists who were bitter enemies have found ways to reconcile, often years or even decades after their initial conflicts. For NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage, reconciliation would require both artists to be willing to acknowledge their mistakes, forgive past hurts, and prioritize their former friendship over their current loyalties. It would also require them to resist the pressure from fans and industry figures who benefit from keeping the conflict alive. The 4L tattoo on NBA Youngboy's neck could become a symbol of reconciliation rather than betrayal, but only if both artists are willing to do the hard work of rebuilding trust and communication. Ultimately, the NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud tells us something important about hip-hop culture and its values. It shows us that the culture's emphasis on loyalty and authenticity, while admirable, can also be destructive when taken to extremes. It reminds us that behind the music, the fame, and the business deals are real human beings with real emotions and real relationships. When those relationships are damaged or destroyed, the cost is measured not just in dollars and opportunities, but in human suffering and lost potential. Their story is a cautionary tale about the importance of communication, compromise, and forgiveness in maintaining relationships. It's also a reminder that success in the music industry doesn't have to come at the cost of personal relationships and human decency. As we reach the end of this story, let's return to where we began, with two young artists who found genuine brotherhood in an industry full of fake relationships. NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage represented something pure in hip-hop culture, authentic friendship based on mutual respect and shared experiences. The 4L tattoo on NBA Youngboy's neck was supposed to be a symbol of unbreakable loyalty, a permanent reminder of a friendship that would last forever. Instead, it became a scar, a daily reminder of trust betrayed and brotherhood broken. Perhaps the most tragic aspect of their feud is the wasted potential. These two artists, at the height of their powers and popularity, could have created something special together. Their combined talents, their shared experiences, and their genuine friendship could have produced music that would have lasted for generations. Instead, we're left with what might have been. The collaborations that will never happen, the tours that will never be booked, the friendship that will never be restored. In a culture that values loyalty above all else, their story shows us the dark side of that same loyalty. The NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud has implications that extend far beyond the two artists involved. It represents a cautionary tale for the entire hip-hop community about the dangers of absolute loyalty and the importance of communication and compromise. Their story shows us that even the strongest friendships can be destroyed by the pressures of the music industry and the demands of street culture. It reminds us that success and fame don't protect us from the basic human needs for trust, communication, and forgiveness. In many ways, the NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage feud serves as a mirror for our broader culture. In an increasingly polarized world, their story reflects our own struggles with loyalty, friendship, and the difficulty of maintaining relationships across different groups and ideologies. Their inability to find middle ground, to communicate effectively, and to prioritize their friendship over their other loyalties reflects broader patterns in our society. We live in a world where people are increasingly forced to choose sides, where compromise is seen as weakness, and where loyalty to one group requires hostility toward another. At its core, this is a story about human beings and human relationships. Behind the streaming numbers, the chart positions, and the industry politics are two people who once cared deeply about each other and who lost something valuable when their friendship ended. The human cost of their feud extends beyond just the two artists involved. It affects their families, their friends, their collaborators, and their fans. It represents a loss of something positive and beautiful in a world that often seems short on both. As new artists enter the hip-hop industry, the story of NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage serves as both a warning and a guide. It shows them the importance of choosing their loyalties carefully, communicating honestly with their friends, and finding ways to resolve conflicts before they become irreparable. It also shows them that success in the music industry doesn't have to come at the cost of personal relationships. There are ways to navigate the complex world of hip-hop while maintaining your authenticity and your friendships. But it requires wisdom, maturity, and a willingness to prioritize what's truly important. In the end, the story of NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage is a tragedy in the classical sense, a story of good people making understandable choices that lead to devastating consequences. Neither artist is a villain in this story. Both were trying to do what they thought was right based on their values and their understanding of loyalty. But their story reminds us that good intentions aren't always enough. Sometimes, doing what you think is right can still lead to outcomes that everyone regrets. Sometimes, loyalty to one person requires betraying another, and sometimes the cost of staying true to your principles is higher than you ever imagined. The 4L tattoo on NBA Youngboy's neck will always be there, a permanent reminder of a friendship that was supposed to last forever but didn't. It's a symbol of the gap between our intentions and our actions, between what we promise and what we deliver, between the loyalty we pledge and the loyalty we practice. But even in this tragic story, there remains a glimmer of hope. Hip-hop history is full of feuds that seemed permanent until they weren't, of friendships that were restored after years of conflict, of artists who found ways to forgive and move forward. Maybe someday, NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage will find a way back to each other. Maybe they'll realize that their friendship was more valuable than their other loyalties, that their brotherhood was worth preserving despite the pressures and politics that tore them apart. Until then, their story serves as a reminder of what we can lose when we let loyalty become a weapon instead of a bond, when we choose sides instead of seeking understanding, and when we prioritize everything else over the relationships that matter most. The NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage beef isn't just a story about two rappers who fell out. It's a story about all of us, about the choices we make, the loyalties we keep, and the friendships we lose along the way. It's a story that reminds us that in the end, the relationships we build and maintain are often more important than the battles we win or the sides we choose. And maybe, just maybe, that's a lesson worth remembering. That's the complete story of how NBA Youngboy and 21 Savage went from brotherhood to beef, from loyalty to betrayal, from friendship to feud. It's a story that shows us the best and worst of hip-hop culture, the power and danger of loyalty, and the human cost of success. What do you think? Was 21 Savage right to choose OTF over his friendship with NBA Youngboy? Could their conflict have been avoided? Is there still hope for reconciliation? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop's most complex stories. Because at the end of the day, these aren't just stories about music, they're stories about us, about the choices we make and the relationships we value. And those stories, those human stories, are always worth telling.